Okay, so here's just a little mini vlog on color. Um, and once again, forgive me for those that don't know this, but I know there's a lot of people that are interested in this stuff, so I think it's important to share it. Not only as my own experience, because I'm still learning as well. Because I'm always trying. Like I never like to do the same thing twice. I like to try a new color, a new consistency of paint, and it's always very, very thin. And this flat earth right here, XF52, gone through more of this paint than any other color with Tamiya in all my modeling days. Like even since I was a kid when I used earth, like the old Umbro colors, the enamels. But like this has been thinned down, like this bottle's been with me. Like this is almost like, oh here, look, watch. See there? Just a big flood of earth, super thin. It'll just absorb in and evaporate and leave sediments of flat earth. And I do this to tone things down. Like I went over these ties here, like, with aged white. That's a bit strong there, but that's what I like to do, I like to put a wash of earth over all my track work because it just makes everything blend in. Everything just blends in. Like you don't get these like distinct opaque borders of colors. You just get this sort of gradual kind of blending in. And earth is the magic wash for doing that kind of thing. You can put it anywhere, even on these ties or whatever, and it just puts a layer of that sort of mauve kind of filter over everything that really makes the groundwork pop. Okay, so I just want to talk to you a little bit about right of way modeling, or not necessarily the right way, but a way on the right of way. So, as you can see here, just a couple things I want to point out. When we add ties and rail, let's say, along the right of way, the one thing that I think that we've all done is just to glue things randomly in place, and that's fine. But oftentimes they don't lay like they're heavy. Like they kind of, you can just tell, right? Like it'll get caught on a leaf or a blade of grass and it's suspended and you see a big blob of glue under it. Or like you can tell, like just look at photos of things and you'll see like, like cans will be sort of suspended a bit by the terrain or some foliage or whatever, right? So we want to add weight to the things that are generally heavy in the real world. So the physics of a model is just not the same. So one of the reasons why I like working on 1/4-inch cork with 3/8 ply is I can take pins like this, right? And I can set up all my ties in this example like this. I can just pin them down so they're, simulated in a way that they look like they're heavy, like because ties are heavy, right? And then all I need to do is just take a little bit of matte medium that's diluted 50-50 and I just, take a drop or two, however way you want to do it, and I just work it in around the ties. Thin it down quite a bit too and it'll flow into everything. And matte medium is really just a high quality paint medium, right? Okay, it's a type of adhesive. I mean, you could actually glue plywood together with this if you really wanted to. But anyway, so that's one of the reasons why I like matte medium, because it'll never show any sign of adhesive when it dries. It'll be completely flat, especially if it's good quality matte medium. And you can do everything like the ballast, glue ties in place, all manner of foliage, right? And since I'm on that topic, I want to show you another advantage to matte medium, okay? And when these are dry, like the next day, all you do is just give them a twist like that, and they pull out. Easy. And now your ties actually look like they're heavy. You know, they're sitting in the soil almost. They're they're pressing in on the foliage. You know, you can put them over top of the grass, blades jutting through and so on, as you see, right? Okay, so this is just some tough sheet that I made. I just made a small piece. Like, this is easy to make an endless supply of this stuff. But I want to show you how I did this. So this is parchment paper, right? You can use wax paper, but I like parchment paper. I just like it better. It's better quality, again. And it's designed for high heat. And I can reuse this, too. So what I do with this is I basically take matte medium, and I just put a coat over top of this sheet. And then what I'll do is I'll just take a little bit of soil. This is just from outside. And I just cover the whole sheet. Like, it'll just stick to wherever the matte medium is, right? And then when it's dry, I just pick it up and shake it off, right? So then I have, this basically, the first membrane of matte medium over the parchment paper is embedded with soil. And then what I do is I put another coat of matte medium, quite liberal, and I take my static grass applicator. You don't really have to have a static grass applicator, but it does help it stand up. But if it's just raunchy grass like this, you can do it like this too, and then sprinkle it with 10 mil grass, let's say in this case, and then wait about a minute or two, and then take your vacuum, like the end of the vacuum, just above, like don't get too close, it'll suck it right off, but just go over top like that, and it'll make the grass stand up. Like that. Okay? And then once that's dry, look what happens. Like when you peel it peels off no problem. There's no sticking at all. It looks like leather. See that? See, this is my argument for matte medium. Like carpenter's glue, it would be hard. It's quite hard, carpenter's glue. I mean, it depends how you mix it and so on, right? It's similar, but it doesn't have the quality that matte medium has. See, matte medium is it's just a wonderful product, that way. That's why you can, you can stretch it and rip it, see? Like, it's just really nice. And then when you go to glue this down with like carpenter glue, if you want, it already has soil built in, so it sort of disappears. Like when it gets wet with the glue, it kind of disappears like into the soil, right? Okay. And then what you can do is you can just glue soil around it, and then put another coat of matte medium on it. Like, do whatever you want with it, right? And paint it, whatever. And that's how you get this, I mean, this is enough to cover my whole, like this whole module, no problem. For like right away, actually probably all my track for right away, foliage, right? Okay? So that's why I like to use matte medium, because I think matte medium is a modeler's best friend, especially when you really want to get into scenery. It's a glue and it dries completely flat. And it's really forgiving when you thin it down, okay? Okay, so I just want to talk about grass tufts. In this case, the kind that you can make cheap enough on parchment paper with matte medium, as I mentioned earlier. I like to do this with a small sort of feature, foreground track. In this case, it's code 40. And code 40 is sensitive enough as it is in regards to spikes and so on. So, even with code 83, if you just static grass over top of track with just diluted glue, you're going to have issues, major issues with cars running on them. It's just can be a real nightmare, having to go and clean it up later. It just almost renders the track useless, even though it looks good. So you want it to look good and you want it to run good, right? So I find, like in this particular case, like because this track is built straight onto cork, Cork is, there's a 1/4 inch of cork here, right? So I can punch a hole down through it. It just has a thin membrane of dried matte medium and soil. And I can easily just take, little chunks like this, right? With enough grass, that's quite a bit actually. And then, just punch it down in with a bamboo skewer, right? Like this. That way you don't get any, just a bit of water on top like that, a bit of water, and then just a drop of diluted matte medium will seal it. That way you get, the grass growing up between the ties, like the grass is not glued to the ties, right? Even though in some cases, that would happen, grass would grow out of cracks and rot and ties and out of moss and so on. But it just helps you to control it a bit better, and you can keep the grass tufts to the center of the rail more, so the wheel flanges are clear and you're not having to go in there and spend a lot of time nipping little strands out of the way. If you just, do it the traditional way of just a wash of glue and then hitting it with static grass. And in this case, I want it to be a little bit heavier growing in down on this end, and then it'll thin down because, there would have been applications of Roundup or whatever, because, I want some of this track to be sort of semi in use, but also more in heavy decay and overgrown more here, like on this end.